that's a massively important win for West Ham. A crucial game, actually. It would have been the worst thing in the world if we'd have lost. No, not really, but it would have heaped pressure back on David Moyes, and he would have killed momentum. To win against Wolves, this is all coming off the back of an international break. To win against Wolves, to then go away to Anderlecht to get basically the game that secures us qualifying, albeit not as group winners, then to come back with another Premier League win, and then hopefully if we can go and beat Anderlecht again, there's just a nice bit of momentum there, and make no mistake about it, back-to-back wins in the Premier League is absolutely huge. At the time of recording this, we're up in 13th, there's still other games to be played this weekend and whatnot, but if we can then go into the next game against Southampton with some confidence, which hopefully we now have, then it just manages to take a lot of that pressure away from the crappy results at the start of the season, quite frankly. This was no foregone conclusion, though, what we saw here, because Fulham went into the lead, and deservedly so, by the way. We were so sluggish at the start. The commentator was making quite a lot of our European campaign, and I think it was Tony Gale, and I just don't buy it. Look, there's a lot of the players travelled to Anderlecht, but let's be perfectly honest, it was only Dawson who played 90 minutes, and of course Bowen who played 85. The rest of them, I just played bit part. I either didn't play at all or played really small roles in it. So what was the excuse for starting slowly? We did start really badly. They were all over us. Somebody said to me quite early on that at Fulham could have been 3-0 up. And you know what? It's always a dangerous thing to count it like that. But it was sort of right. They hit the bar with Dan James. I'll go into their goal in just a second. But I think it's also fair, if we're reflective on this, that come half-time, it could have been sort of 4-3 West Ham, because Scamacca had a lot of chances in that game. There was two headers in the first half. There was another header in the second half. There was certainly a shot which he would have thought he would have scored from. I think Scamacca could have had 5. I'm not saying he should have had 5 goals, but could have had 5 goals today. Anyway, we'll get back to that in a minute. They were all over us at the start. We couldn't handle their movement, we couldn't handle their pace. I felt like, I know I get accused of being obsessed with pace, but it felt to me almost like every single player in their team was quicker than anyone we had in ours, and they were all over us, buzzing around. We didn't seem to be pressing at all. We didn't seem to have an awful lot of urgency, and they scored a goal. They ran into a space which had been left open by Tilo Kehrer. We basically didn't have a right back there. They ran down into the space down their left wing, our right hand side. I felt that Zuma sort of had it covered to a certain extent. I felt he was a little bit hesitant, but I don't want to overly you could lay the blame at all sorts. Kehrer for not being there, but we were on the attack. We were pushing up, and we needed to push up at that point. Zuma may be a little bit hesitant. He could have perhaps got a foot on it. Probably the biggest blame would lie with Lucas Fabianski, though. Basically, it was a good shot from Pereira, who scored the goal. Quite a fierce shot with his left foot. The shot was faster and more powerful, and basically Fabianski couldn't react quickly enough. But you certainly felt that it sort of went through him, and he'll be disappointed with that, certainly, particularly given that that Areola had done a world-class save in the last game in Europe. So they were 1-0 up, and they were then still over us. As I say, it could have been 2 goals, could have been 3 goals. They hit the bar, all that sort of stuff. It took us a while to really get into our rhythm. And I would even suggest that even when we were getting these chances, which was, a header for Scamacca and lots of different bits and pieces that were starting to happen, I never really felt that we were massively in control of the game. We had a really interesting situation down the right-hand side, which I thought was totally predictable. I say our right-hand side, their left. And I say it's predictable because I picked up on it when we did the preview with Gio. I knew that it was Anthony Robinson who played left-back. And if there's one thing that Jarrod Bowen struggles with, is when there's a player faster than him. And he just had no joy out of him all game, albeit Bowen scored our opener from a penalty spot. We'll get onto that in a minute. And I was just watching it very, very frustrated, wondering why Moyes hadn't switched him to the other wing, because Fornells wasn't particularly doing anything on the other side anyway. And I just thought, there's no way, as this goes on, we're going to get any joy down that side. And Anyway, in the end, we were knocking on the door, we were attacking, we got a penalty. The most bizarre set of circumstances. It was basically, the referee would never admit this. He would say it was just a foul, the one foul that he gave the penalty for. But I'm telling you now, it was for persistent fouling. It really was. It was Pereira and Dawson. He kept on sort of obstructing him and pushing him over. There was no attempt to play the ball at all. Well, of course there was no attempt to play the ball. The ball had not even been kicked yet. So we're taking a corner, we're waiting to take a corner. And this happened 2 or 3 times. In the end, Dawson was sort of bundled over. The irony is, I thought the last one where Dawson was bundled over was the least was the least problematic of all the challenges. But anyway, referee gave a penalty. I think VAR had a little look at it. Bowen took the penalty, hit it low, and to the goalkeeper's right, and it was 1-1 going into half time, and that was. I think it was fair. It was absolutely fair, because whilst Fulham started well, we did have a lot of chances. Excuse me if I just put my glasses on, because I've made my notes here. The Scamacca chances were good. There was a particular point actually where Scamacca did the header down, forced a really fantastic save from Leno, but then there was another header from Scamacca which Bowen almost got in on the rebound, and that was a really interesting partnership, those two. Actually, before I go further, I've almost forgotten the sponsor for this. This is what happens when you do a post-match review on it. This video is sponsored by the OneFootball app. Now, the OneFootball app you can download by clicking that link below. The OneFootball app is going to be full of news about West Ham's victory over Fulham. It's full of all sorts of news. All sorts of football, Premier League football, international football, European football, but when you download it, it asks you your support, and the reason it does that is so as it can filter out all the crap news that you don't want and just keep included all the news you do want. And what do you want? You want West Ham news, so you just tell the app that you support West Ham, and it goes and selects everything from all the newspapers, all the websites, bundles it all up, puts it all into one place for you. It's the results, it's all the news, the gossip, the injury news, all the stats, everything. I didn't even know until today that you can vote for man of the match during a game, and I did. So I'm not even going to tell you, because we'll be dealing with that in our player ratings tomorrow. But anyway, that's the OneFootball app, who are very kindly sponsoring this video. Please use the link below. You'll know they come from Hammers Chat. So we had enough chances. I felt it was fair enough that we were in 1-1 at half time. I'm going to have to cover a little bit more in depth in the video tomorrow, but suffice to say, I was pleased with how many chances Scamacca was getting. There was things I was less pleased about. I didn't think we were controlling Fulham very well. Souček was defending well, but his passing was atrocious. I'm sorry to say it. It's not, I always think, play the ball, not the man. I gave Souček man of the match, just so as you know, little spoiler. Gave Souček man of the match in the last league game against Wolves. So, but I thought it was terrible. Albeit, on the 45th minute, Souček played a wonderful ball to Aaron Cresswell, one of the best passes of the game. Start of the second half, we started really quickly, started really well. There was a sort of cheeky effort from Paqueta. A little bit tame, a little bit too soft, but I liked it. We were getting down, Cresswell was getting down the left to good effect. Scamacca got another header, that was from Cresswell's cross, headed it wide. You would have thought, we could have been a little bit better. Kehrer was dealing with Robinson a little bit better as well, because I think he was enjoying the fact that once he got the better of Bowen. There was also a couple of occasions where Scamacca went back to almost help Bowen deal with Robinson. I never quite understood why David Moyes thought, okay, that's not going to work. I'm just going to move Bowen to the left-hand side where Fornals is and move Fornals to the other side, just something different. Anyway, look, what do I know? David Moyes got it right because we won 3-1. Anyway, we didn't have to wait too much longer. Scamacca, goal. Now, this is weird, right? I mean, this is really, really weird, because he didn't celebrate. And what happened was, Rice was attacking. Basically, the goal that Scamacca scored against Anderlecht? If you imagine Scamacca's in that same position, but also Paqueta's in the same position he was in. And do you remember against Anderlecht where Rice sprayed it out to Soufal, nodded it down, just basically cut Soufal out the equation, right? So Rice just played it to Paqueta, and Paqueta played a lovely little chip ball over. Now, forget the controversy for a second. Basically, what happened is, this is what you'll get when you look at this goal in future. It's a lovely goal. When you watch it in highlights in the future, basically, Scamacca skillfully lobs the keeper with a little chip lob. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful goal. That doesn't tell the story, though. So first of all, I think Scamacca... Well, I think the commentator thought Scamacca thought he was offside. And he wasn't offside because somebody else was playing him on. The reason that Scamacca was hesitant was Scamacca thought he'd handled the ball. I think he had. I think the ball did brush his hand, but I don't think it was a handball, by the way. I think what had happened was, because Scamacca's hands were right by his side, he didn't try and control it with his hand in any way. I think it's just, it was been so hard it wouldn't have been a clear and obvious error. It would have been really hard to prove that it had brushed his hand. So anyway, eventually, after about 3 minutes, they gave the goal, which made it 2-1 West Ham. And it was the most delayed celebration you've ever seen in your life, by the way. Anyway, I thought by that point it was deserved. We'd started the second half a lot better than the first half, and I thought the first half was pretty even. Anyway, they weren't impotent, though, by the way, Fulham. You know, far from it. I thought they still had a little bit of life in them. They'd made a couple of changes. Cresswell actually cleared the ball off the line. Now, let me just say here that I think Fabianski was probably going to save it, but... even if he had saved it, I don't think he was catching it. He may well have pushed it back into the danger area or something like that. So Cresswell clearing the ball was the right thing to do. Let's put it that way. 80th minute, there was a substitution. Antonio for Scamacca. Almost immediately, Antonio was involved because Fornals played a really good ball, played him forward. Attack sort of fizzled out. Basically, Antonio cut the ball back poorly. Emerson came on for Paqueta. I think what we'll do is we'll deal with Paqueta. I do want to discuss him a little bit. We'll deal with him and a couple of other things in the video tomorrow, because we're already at sort of nearly 12 minutes now, and I've not even discussed everything that's happened in the game. Rice was finishing the game really strongly at this point. Basically, Antonio scored to make it 3-1. And now, this was really... a really scrappy goal, basically. Souček, I think it was Souček, at least sort of hoofed the ball forwards. I maybe don't discredit it, mate, but I thought it was a sort of clearance hoof up the pitch, basically. If it was a delightful Pirlo type pass, then you'll have to excuse me, and I beg your pardon, I got that one wrong. But it appeared like a sort of hoofed Chunkenstein sort of, chipped clearance over the top. Antonio round to it really well. Basically, Antonio in the sort of beast mode, got his body in between him and the central defender. So, Antonio was goal side, the defender wasn't. Pace and strength, accelerated away. Basically shot against the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper did come off of his line, but he shot against the goalkeeper. At that point, you think, this is gone. But the goalkeeper didn't gather it. So basically, Antonio got a second bite at a cherry. And when he... second bite, I don't know where on earth has that phrase come from, second bite of the cherry? There's no bite of the cherry. You just pop the cherry in your mouth and spit the pip out. Anyway, whatever. He got a second bite of the cherry, and he slotted it home. Sort of took it round just to the wide of the keeper. That was 3-1. I was really pleased for him as well. David Moyes' celebration was a serious one. It was... I'd say not relief, because we were probably going to win the game, but at 3-1, you've definitely won the game, particularly when, at that point, what was the goal? I don't know, 86th, 87th minute, maybe even later than that. It was enough time, it probably was later than that, it was enough time to bring Downs on for Fornals, who by this point was playing, Fornals playing in the middle, because Emerson had come on for Paqueta. Looks like, you'll look at it, it looks like a comfortable win. The second half was comfortable, and... Fulham were doing all right. Fulham were not a bad team, and I think Silva, the manager, Fulham's manager Silva, he did get a yellow card. He was very moany towards the referee. I sort of get it, Look, they had a penalty given against them for the first one. It was a penalty, but I can understand why he might be a little bit cross with that. I can also understand why he might have felt that Scamacca's goal was a handball. I thought they acquitted themselves really well. I don't think they were a bad team at all. But my word, we really, really needed that. And we had some decent performances. I don't think anybody was absolutely excellent. I mean, Scamacca was... I think the most important thing was Scamacca was really involved. Scamacca had 5 good chances. I think he scored with did the most difficult of all the chances, actually. But see, he had 5 chances anyway, and he got a goal. So, I mean, that in itself is good. We clearly do have a goal scorer in our hands. That's something for us to be pleased about. Rice got stronger as the game went on. Cresswell had a good game. Dawson got a knock. Zuma looked injured at the end, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that, if you were watching it. Anyway, all in all, it was a tough watch. First half hour was a tough watch. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But I think it got better. I certainly enjoyed watching the second half an awful lot more. Although, as you do when you're a West Ham fan, you are looking at it thinking, are you going to make a change? You know, move Ben Rama to the other side. Sorry, move Bowen to the other side. Bring Ben Rama on that side. Do something else, because he really, you know, I didn't feel, from an attacking point of view, from a technical point of view, that Fornals and Souček were having great games, but defensively they were, and actually, you know, they both did produce, you know, a good pass or two throughout the game. But I think overall, you know, you probably find that the passing stats are, you know, a little bit down in that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We had to win that. I said before the game, David Moyes would have taken a 1-0 win. I'm sure he would have taken a 1-0 win in that. Anyway, we've got 3-1, which will help. You know, goal difference is going to be a factor. Well, goal difference factor both seasons, but last 2 seasons we've had plus goal difference, haven't we? So I think we need to start getting back to that. Next 2 games, this is what I've said about October. The thing about October is, what you want to do is you want to get your results in early and then just set the tone for the rest of the month, because it's going to be a pivotal month because of the World Cup and all that other stuff. So have a good October. I'm not wishing you a good. I do wish you a good October. I'm not wishing you a good October. I'm saying if you do have a good October, then I think it could really sort of help your season out, because the fixture congestion is so much, and you just don't know what's going to happen. It's unknown after the World Cup, really. So I think points on the board now. Let's get ourselves another win. Let's get ourselves up into mid-table and a little bit beyond. We're 13th now. Not the most beautiful match in the world, but you know what? West Ham 3, Fulham 1. That'll do.